All right, everybody, welcome to another edition here of the Pattison Report podcast, the Eagles Draft Special. It's become a yearly tradition, not just on the Pattison Report, but dating back, I believe, to 2018 was the first time Ryan and I did one of these. Back then, it was on the good old terrestrial airwaves of WQSU in the mountains of Central PA. And we have kept it going almost 10 years later to
Incredible.
the live stream Twitter feed that is the Pattison Report podcast.
It's absolutely insane. I remember me, you, and I believe it was Josh talking about DK Metcalf getting drafted on the air, and now he's basically almost played his whole career. That's like insane to think about in hindsight. I know Alex was there as well. I've been talking draft with him still too. So it's just so much fun that we've been able to keep this going for as long as we have, and hopefully we continue to keep it longer. It's just so much fun, and we've had our hits and we've certainly had our misses here, but that's all.
Nothing's going to top last year. I mean, I think 2 years ago. I mean, for us to have gone Q and Coop in the manner in which they got them. I mean, I don't think we'll ever really start 2 for 2 again. That was lightning in a bottle, as they say. But we've been right more than we've been wrong, I think, overall.
Contributing to a Super Bowl, like identifying key pieces that help in a Super Bowl run feels like you're on the right side of things more than the wrong side of things.
Yeah, we're on the right side of history, but we're gonna do as usual. Every year we've gone from either live streaming the draft, but this year neither one of us wanted to miss it. Sorry, I have the Sixers on behind me.
You're good. They're cooking. They're cooking.
They're cooking. And then last year we did a full mock draft for the Eagles. This year, though, there are other storylines that do demand some of the show. So we're going to get those out of the way first and then finish up with a first 3-round Eagle mock draft, which, unless you're a real hardcore Eagles sicko, you're probably only watching the first 3 anyway. We usually watch the whole draft, but that's not a model I would recommend the average healthy person follow.
When they start getting animals to announce the picks, it's all right. That's
enough.
We're good.
Before we get into that, we have been pretty closely covering the AJ Brown drama around here, and it has been everywhere from pipe dream, not going to happen. God, Diana Rossini's annoying. Maybe it'll happen. A couple wide receiver trades made it seem increasingly likely that not going to happen. And then this is probably the most concrete reporting we've gotten thus far. Adam Schefter now hopping on board saying that the expectation is that the Eagles will move A.J. Brown post June 1, with the most likely suitor being the New England Patriots. So where there was smoke, there was always fire. I guess AJ really did want out all along, and it seems as though eventually the Pats are going to give Howie his asking price. So, are we? Let's put it this way. We'll save the on the field stuff for a second, for last. Are you at all surprised that this is where we ended up?
No, I think I suggested it back at the start of free agency that this is where we were heading, and AJ Brown, credit to him. He's kept quiet through all of this. Eagles are going to get the return that they want, and AJ Brown's going to get to go to the place that he wants to play. So it works out for both parties. I'm just, man, it stinks though. It's going to stink in the short term. It's going to really stink. In the long run, it's going to greatly benefit our franchise.
Yes. The dead cap is going to suck, but that's the cost of doing business. What I think is worth looking at, and there's all kinds of theories as to why this is, but I don't like Stephen A. Smith, but he brought it up in an interesting way. Like, if I'm the Eagles organization, yes, are we better off in the long term? Maybe. You're going to have a first round pick and hopefully a 27 draft that is absolutely loaded. But you got to look a little bit as to why this happened. Like, this should have been the perfect scenario for AJ Brown to succeed, which he did to varying degrees, and to play for a long time. Like, it's a team that wins, where he's personally succeeded, other than this year. He's playing with what has been assured to all of us as one of his closest friends in Jalen Hurts. He and Devontae Smith seem to be really close. He's a great fit for Philadelphia. He does go out and do stuff in the community. Like, it has all these hallmarks of a guy who should be perfectly happy where his feet are. And then you're hearing that he would prefer to be moved. He wants to go play for Vrabel again in New England. You got to look inward a little bit as an organization and wonder how we got here.
Yeah, it's fair to ask the question that, it all seemed great and now it's just not. And is it, Patullo in the offense? Is it Jalen? Is it, he wasn't satisfied with his role. He wants to be the true alpha because in New England, there's no Devonta Smith behind him. It's Romeo Doubs, who won't demand that big of a target share as Devontae Smith would. They don't have, a Saquon Barkley in the backfield either. They don't have a Dallas Goedert in the red zone. It's going to be strictly all AJ Brown all the time. So it's really tough to see what factored into the ultimate decision, even though it hasn't happened yet. It's like you said, it's basically at the goal line. It's probably how he's probably going to get the asking price that he wants, and then plot from there. We might see a receiver in the first round on Thursday night. And that'd be the real green light to, okay, this is for sure happening.
Yeah.
We're really doing this. See you June 1st. And we'll see you with that, hopefully a 2027 first round pick, because if he gets a 2027, the Patriots are, bound to regress. They had the easiest schedule, and Drake may struggle in the playoffs, even though that was most of the injury. But, if that's a mid first round pick, and then how he could maybe package, hopefully 32, hopefully, I'm not saying it will be, hopefully 32 and like a mid first round pick up into the top 10 and in what could be a generational draft class. I'm all for it.
Yeah, so that's, and we're not sure what the pick is. We know it's not 26. Obviously, there's just no way in hell he moves him tomorrow, Thursday. Sorry,
that's a good thing though.
Yes, say that's a fortune. The question is whether it's 27 or 28. Obviously, the prize is the 27 class. So we'll see. I think that would be initially Howie wanted a one of the two. I don't think that's happening. If you're willing to move off of that and go to a 1 and a 3, or I don't know what the current asking price is, I would need that 1 to be a 2027 1.
I think it's going to be a 2027 1 with a conditional 2028 third that could move up to a second based on probably, I'd assume, playoff stuff.
Yeah, because regular season stats is a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I think that's what they want. That's the ultimate goal. They were there last year. I think if they reach a certain level and he plays so many snaps, somewhere in that ballpark, that'll move up to a 2028 second.
Yeah. And then that's it's a good trade given the situation we're in. I mean, if AJ Brown wants out, he's been really cool about it this offseason, but we've seen he is the type who will tell you what he's thinking. So if he wants out, he's the type of guy who you're not going to force him to stay. It thrusts Devontae Smith into a true one, which I think a lot of Eagle fans think he can do. He's been extremely fortunate, save for his first year here, to not have to be a true number one. He's always had, he's been able to be, Robin, I guess, to AJ Brown's Batman. But when if you're an Eagle fan, you've watched him play long enough, he has made some catches that show you that he has every tool in the toolbox. He can catch a deep ball. He can work out of the slot. He can work out of the screen game. I thought there were times last year where I felt more comfortable with Devontae taking a deep ball than AJ Brown, even given the size difference. So he'll have to show that he can be a true one. I love the addition of Hollywood Brown and Dontavion Wicks alongside of him. Neither guy is probably a true number two on a Super Bowl contender. Together, they might make one. Could be, that could be debated, but it'll be a big prove-it year for Devontae.
Yeah, well, I think he can prove it. I think if Jalen truly gives him the target share, all pro is the ceiling. I think, he's got that kind of talent. He just never had the offensive system to thrive in, or the targets, because obviously they're all going AJ Brown, or they're running the ball extreme with Saquon Barkley, which you should. So I think this is the year for Devonta Smith. I agree. Wicks, Hollywood Brown, and Elijah Moore all are great supplementary pieces to rotate his wide receiver 3, and together they could put up wide receiver 2 numbers, but the room does need another piece. So we'll see Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see what he does Thursday. And with that said, we should get into what we think they're going to do Thursday. It's a half-hour program, and we each got 6 picks to make, so there's no reason to beat around the bush any longer. This is where I really turn it over to you, so you can lead us off with, I forget how you put yours together, and I'm cool with whatever, but what you think the Eagles are going to do round 1, and then what your pick is.
I kind of mixed both, because I was like, what would I do? What would the Eagles do? And it was kind of the same thing, because I'm not as big as the wide one or the round 1 wide receivers. Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston. I told you I don't think Denzel Boston's the greatest. The profile just doesn't scream true X receiver to me, even though that's what he played. So I struggled there, but I'm gonna go with Max Yonicher, the right tackle out of Arizona State. There's gonna be a tackle run on Thursday night. You're definitely going to see Francis Mano go. You're definitely going to see Spencer Fano go by that spot. And then it's maybe Caden Proctor. I think he's gone by 17. The Lions kind of guaranteed him that, hey, you're going to be gone by pick 17. They kind of put it out there. I don't know if the reporter leaked it or something. So there's going to be a tackle run, but I like Yonicher the best. He's going to study under Lane Johnson. He's got good feet. I think he's got decent power. He's going to need a little time to adapt, but I think Philadelphia is the perfect spot for him. And I think he's perfect for under Lane Johnson, and he could be the perfect right tackle replacement. We need a tackle badly. You don't trade for tackles. You never see these tackle trades go down there. I mean, Tunsil was the last one, and Trent Williams, but they're so few and far between, because Trent Williams is 4 or 5 years ago at this point. Yeah. Larry Tunsil was.
They break the bank every time.
Yeah, I mean, if a average to above average offensive tackle ever hits free agency, they make an absolute payday. So you got to draft and develop, and that's what the Eagles have been so good at. I mean, I have my wish list, so I didn't really go off that. This is the most realistic one of who I'd want, what I think how I would do, because it's a tackle, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, so we've talked about this on the show so many times. We're on the same page there, because again, I think you only are able to build your O-line through the draft. Now you can take some swings on guys, like the Eagles famously did with Brandon Brooks from Houston, but he wasn't Brandon Brooks when we got him. It was a project and you develop. Like you said, very rarely do you get a finished product on the open market at anything close to a reasonable price. So you have to kind of burn and churn through the draft. I know the joke with the Eagles for the longest time was you want to be a quarterback factory. You really have to kind of take that same approach with O-line and just constantly be adding talent to the room, understanding that maybe you'll hit on a third, but if you're constantly replenishing talent, that third will turn into before aging, the 2021 to really 3, legendary Eagles offensive line. So with that said, I also went tackle. I like Blake Miller out of Clemson. I think for what we're looking at, for the time frame we're looking at, he's just solid right away. 3-time All-ACC. He's nothing. He's not this freak athlete. Like, there are definitely some guys who are athletically more gifted for sure, who might be a little bit more projects. I think from what I've seen, Blake Miller comes in ready to go. He's only really probably going to have 1 year behind Lane. So I think he gets a year to get up to speed, and then he takes over right away. I just it's a safe pick. It's not a flashy pick, but I like having a guy who's plug and play, 1 year behind Lane, ready to contribute.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I was a little concerned about the athleticism and a little bit of stiffness when he plays right tackle, but he started so many games. Like, he was going to be second or third on like my realistic list. Vega Ioane is first on my wish list. It's not happening.
Yeah.
But a man can dream.
Like, and I don't think Proctor will still be around by the time it gets to us. They're saying top 15, top 17 for him.
The Lions basically gave him a guarantee, and I don't know how it leaked. So they'd have to move up to get him.
If he makes it there, he's done.
Yeah, they kind of, and the Browns kind of like him too, and they picked twice. I think once after they could jump us. So it's really tough. I thought about Jermod McCoy. I've been thinking about it. And every time I think about it, I scroll my phone again and there's a negative update. He might fall further than Will Johnson. I didn't list him as my second round target because I couldn't, because I just don't know where he's going to fall. But if he's available with the Eagles' second round pick or anywhere close, you trade up and go get him. I mean, the talent just far outweighs the risk with injury in the second round, but I couldn't put him on my list because I don't know where he falls.
Okay, that's fair.
So for my second pick, obviously Jermod McCoy is the pick if he's there, and he has I heard he might have a Will Johnson style fall, and Will Johnson went like the 40s last year for Arizona.
If he's there, phenomenal. I didn't even count on.
I'm not counting on it either, but I'm going to go trade on Stukes. I think safety out of Arizona. I mean, he could play the nickel. He's got great ball skills. I think you need that center fielder guy. It allows Makuba to play close to the line of scrimmage, and safety is such a huge need. And I think it fills this need perfectly. Just like I said, you can move Coop around. You can move Stukes in the slot, play him at safety as well. You can give Fangio a bunch of mixed looks. And like I said, his ball skills, if you see, I forget what the tape was, but he just jumped over this wide receiver with ease and grabbed the ball. It's been going around social media lately, but top 5 safety in the class for me. I would love Caleb Downs. Like I said, that's not happening. He's probably a giant. So we could kiss that dream goodbye, but Treydon Stukes is still a great player and will be a great deep safety for all of Vic Fangio's zone looks.
For those of you following along at home, the Sixers have won this one, 111-97. So,
bless you. Yeah,
we'll be coming back to Philly with a split. Doesn't so much matter how it happened. If you saw game 1, it was ugly. Game 2, they will end up winning this one by 14. So, kind of a get back game for the Sixers. There might be hope after all. Getting back to the second round of our mock, I really came into this with one blueprint, and the more I went through several other people's mock drafts and seeing who's going where, I like your pick. I wanted a safety in round 2 because you and I talked about it. We just don't have that much depth at safety. I mean, Marcus Epps is a Band-Aid. Makuba could take a leap, could not. I'd like somebody to compete for that spot. But then I read the AJ Brown news and I threw that out the window and decided to address wide receiver in the second round in a bit of it's a swing.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Is it Chris Bell?
Yes.
I had Chris Bell written and I erased it for Treydon Stukes the last minute.
It's a swing because, look, we did this once before. If you remember, a particularly underwhelming DB out of Washington who we were sold a bill of goods that he was going to be transcendent talent coming off an injury. Dude, we're getting him in the second round, first round talent. Hell of a discount. It's going to be fine. That didn't work, and I want to try it again. So Chris Bell out of Louisville, save for the injury, probably could have found his way much, much, much higher than where we're at. So I'm looking at another second-round injury discount. Obviously, he had the torn ACL in November, a little bit later than you'd like it to be. So training camp's going to be a question. Beginning of the season is going to be a question. However, he could slip right into that wide receiver 2 role that we're missing once he's healthy. And I'm looking around the league. Wide receivers are getting paid crazy numbers. It's becoming a position you want to draft and develop. He's got big size. I love Devontae Smith. He's smaller. Hollywood Brown, smaller guy. 6'2", 220. He's got the big frame to play opposite Devontae. I'm willing to take a chance.
Yeah, I got to study his tape a little in depth. I was watching his Miami tape. It was really good. I was watching another game. I forget what team it was against. I'm like, why is this guy getting the hype? And then I threw in the Miami game. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I get it now.
He's a stud.
It's one of those moments where I was like, I watched 30 minutes of tape and I'm like, what am I doing here? And then I turned on the next 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, it was worth the wait. I mean, he's got the size. He's explosive. Obviously, the ACL is a little bit of a worry, but it could, make him
Guys
slip
come
right
back
into the
from
Eagles
that
pick.
now.
I'm okay trading up a little bit for him as well. I only listed Stukes because I was like, the tape just got me, and
Yeah. No,
we need a safety, and I
it
think
makes sense.
the only reason I went safety over wide receivers, because I think wide receiver is deeper than safety this year.
Okay.
So that's why I did that. But Chris Bell is such a great kind of. I know he's getting the AJ Brown comparisons. I'm not there at all yet, and I don't think I'll be a quarter of the way there by the time his name is called on Friday night, no matter where it is.
Mm.
But he could do some special things with the ball in his hand, and this one crossing route that he ran where he just got open in the end zone, it was incredible. So I'm in on Chris Bell, the talent. I'm a little worried about the injury, but round 2, like I said, you need to get another guy in the room, and I think he's perfect fit.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, look, round 2 is still high stakes. You can still build your team through round 2, but I'm more willing to take a chance on a guy who could not immediately, but who could slot right into the AJ Brown, to the Devontae Smith role, because now Devontae will be the number 1 now, so he'll need his own Robin, which hopefully it works out quite this way. But third round, who did you have? Who did you have the Eagles taking?
I mean, I mentioned him last week on the show, and I got a school wrong. So I studied more. I went Sam Roush. I mean, I think this kid's got it. When you look at his athletic testing, his broad jump and his vert were both the 96th percentile. He's an explosive athlete, and he could block. I almost listed Oscar Delp, but I think Oscar Delp's been getting a little too much steam lately, coming off that foot fracture, which, impacted his tape. I think Sam Roush can be a receiving threat, and he could be a do-it-all tight end, and he's not going nearly as high as people expect him to. I mean, if you have this athletic profile, of course, his statistics aren't all the way there, but in round 3, you're betting on upside, and Dallas Goedert's going to need a replacement, and I'd rather have him in the building to learn under Goedert than to, not have one and not be prepared at all, because look what we've been doing with Dallas Goedert. It's been, we don't have a tight end, 1-year extension. Oh, thanks for taking a pay cut, my guy. I mean, that's basically what we've been doing. We needed the next guy in-house.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Sadiq. I think Sadiq's gone by 23.
Agreed.
And I think Stowers, he needs a lot pass protection. I think Delp and Roush are the next 2 guys that'll be high on Howie's board. I'm going with Sam Roush here, but if Oscar Delp falls to round 3, I'm cool with that as well.
Okay, so you're going tight end round 3. I think you're right. It's, we have so many of these areas where you have a Band-Aid right now and you want to kind of backfill it, which we all saw coming a couple of years ago when seemingly the Eagles got everybody they wanted. Well, eventually those guys got to get paid, so now we find ourselves drafting not so much for talent, but we're drafting for need, which is why my round 3 could be perceived as a bit of a reach, but I have Bud Clark, safety out of TCU. Again, it's the third round, so you're taking some gambles. I was very close to. I had a couple options. I was very close to going Dennis Sutton, edge from Penn State, if he was there. But that just seems, that's for me drafting on talent, not need. And in this instance, I wanted to draft on need. I hadn't addressed safety. You already have. So I had to get a safety. I like Bud Clark for a couple of reasons. We already have 2 guys. Well, Makuba, primarily a safety, has the body type to play multiple positions. He could play the nickel if he needed him to. Obviously, Coop one of the best nickels in football, could play safety if you need him to. Bud Clark kind of has that same versatility where you could bring him up and play nickel. You could leave him back and play safety. I think he and Makuba could be good together. The tricky thing is they both kind of have the same fatal flaw. From watching Makuba with the Eagles last year, watching some tape on Clark, they both have hand issues. They both get grabby. And that's kind of what Makuba had to work through early. It's what Bud Clark's going to have to work through early. So I worry about those two out there together. We're going to see a lot of DPI penalties. That's my concern. I like the versatility, though. And they said it in round 3, I'm going to take the chance and hope he develops.
Yeah, he's got great ball skills as well. Like, turnovers are everything in today's game. He had 15 picks in his first year starting at TCU. So I'm on board there as well. I mean, safety, I feel like that's the line. Like I had to pull up the safety rankings just to make sure. And it kind of feels like that's the line where, okay, if you don't address safety by then, probably don't do it. Because you have Thieneman up top. I'd love him in round 1. You have Emmanuel McNeil Warren, who's probably going to go round 2 now. He's been falling down boards. I like him a lot.
If he's there when we pick in the second round, that's a conversation.
You DeJean it. You do exactly what you did with Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, you jump back up and go get him.
You put him in the secondary. Like it's the blueprint. And then you have like AJ Halsey. I like his tape too a lot. He's very good in zone coverage. So, and then we got Bud Clark. You got Tre'Davious Stukes. No matter where you grade him, some people grade him as a corner, and then some people grade him as a safety. He's, he can play both. So, and then it feels like the line for like, okay, you gotta go out and get a free agent or in a trade to address this because, like you said, we only have Marcus Epps and Makuba. Like,
that's the extent of the room.
You cannot leave this draft without a safety.
No,
and it's a good class.
This is about as late as I'd want to address it. I liked where you were. I think you could take both of our philosophies and flip-flop them depending on which room you think needs more help. Probably it's the safety room. Like, I like you addressing safety at 2 and then presumably, dealing with receiver down the line. I saw, we had different philosophies, but I don't think either one's wrong. But you have to go safety in 2 or 3.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I just thought you could address wide receiver later. I mean, they could probably trade up and, probably get like an Antonio Williams. I'm not a big Elijah Surratt guy, but just because he hasn't been able to really separate. Ted Hurst getting a little too much steam. Deshaun Stripling as well. So
if you're running the Eagles, that would be because we have 64 and 98.
I think we traded 98, didn't we?
No,
we didn't.
No, we still have 98.
Huh. I thought we moved it. We moved some pick.
Yeah, it's not 98. I know for a fact we still
have it.
Then
I'm looking at it right now. I think we moved a later pick, and I just thought it was 98.
Yeah, so you still have 2 in pretty quick succession in the third. So, I mean, you could really you could address tight end at 68 and then receiver at 98 if you wanted to. In your world, you've already addressed safety.
Yeah, it gets murky. I mean, of course, everything gets murky after a certain point in the draft. You're just banking on traits and talent, but we're in agreement. You have to address this offensive line. You got to do it first. You got to get a premier guy in here, whether he's tackle 5 or tackle 6. Obviously, I fling that stuff out the window if Vega Ioane somehow gets in, trade up range, like 17 or 18. If he's there, sorry, Lane Johnson's replacement, you're going to have to wait till next year, round 2, because I think Ioane would be a perfect fit. Not enough to bring Stoutland out of retirement, but I think he'd be starting to get close because he's a special talent at guard.
Well, then that's the thing you mentioned too is, other years we could be a little bit more. I mean, don't get me wrong. Howie's taking some big swings. You get Cam Jurgens early, you get Landon Dickerson early. But we've also been fortunate to kind of pick up some mid-round guys and just say, oh, we have Jeff Stoutland and you don't. Well, now we don't either. So at least early on, until you see, how things are going to be in a post-Stoutland world, and that's why I drafted the way that I did. I didn't feel comfortable drafting on potential this year because I just don't know who's grooming these guys right now. So it has to be round one. You're right, because there's not a wizard in the locker room who can turn anybody into a starter anymore.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a little hesitant on Monroe Freeling if he gets there. There was buzz with him at 6 to the Browns, and now that you get to the point in the draft where the buzz has entirely cooled on like mostly everyone, unless your name is Jordan Tyson.
Yes.
You open up Twitter and he's going what, like 5th overall now, and people were not going to draft him a week ago. It's kind of crazy. We need Thursday to get here.
There's always one guy that goes on a huge run right at the last second.
Well, he's good. It's just the injuries. It's just they piled up throughout his career. I'd love for him to be on the Eagles. Don't get me wrong. And I thought, I think I mentioned in the past couple of shows that hey, it might have been a possibility. Yeah, no, it's no longer even in the realm of thought. He's going wide receiver 1 off the board probably as early as 5, as late as 10. We're gonna have to play him twice a year probably, but it's tough because you have a couple big needs heading in this draft, and the Eagles usually don't feel like they have these big needs heading into the draft.
No, we can usually draft on talent and then leave people wondering, oh my God, how did they end up getting, Jahad Campbell, for instance? Because that was truly based off talent. We had at that point, Zach Baldwin was coming off a crazy year, and obviously you didn't know what you were going to get with Dean, but you were coming off of probably the best linebacking core in at least in the NFC the year prior, and the Eagles go linebacker because they could. I think we both agree we're just unfortunately not in that position in this draft where you have to draft to fill roles. It's not just best available.
Yeah, like I said, there's a couple scenarios where you just throw that out the window. Like I said, Vega Ioane, if somehow Jordan Tyson is even close, you got to go for it because he could profile as an alpha, but he's not going to be there. There's certain scenarios like that. If Jermod McCoy's medicals came out clean for your staff and he's there at 23, I think you just ignore it and take him. Like ignore the board and take him.
Yeah.
But like, any year it's like, oh, you just drop the best guy on the board. Like this year, I'm like, okay, there has to be scenario X on the board or scenario Y on the board.
Yeah, it's a little trickier of a draft, and obviously we have Howie running it, which makes you feel good, but it is a little different. It's going to be, I think, grading this draft is going to be a little bit trickier for for Eagle fans coming out of it because. Look, some of these picks are for this year. Like, I think O-line we talked about is, for next year, but safety is probably going to have to contribute right away. Tight end, to your case, might have to contribute right away. I mean, the room's deep, but whatever. Receiver will probably have to contribute right away. So, you're not going to be able to stash these guys and develop. They're going to have to come in and play.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's why he might go one of these round 1 guys like Thieneman to contribute right away. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't hate that if he gets there. Offensive tackles and offensive linemen in general always go quicker than these mock drafts, put out because it's always been that way. Every team needs to get better in the offensive line. There's no team that's good at all 5 spots that's like content that says, okay, we're going to roll in this year with this group. I feel over the moon about them. You could always get better on the offensive line. That goes for defensive line as well. But there's going to be teams that you don't expect. Like maybe the Rams want to shore up a tackle spot at 13. They could do that. That's basically a luxury pick for them.
Yeah.
They could do whatever they want there. 14, they could go a Ioane or a tackle to Baltimore. And then, the Browns could jump up and they start flying off the board. And then you're sitting there at 23 and it's tackle 6 or 7. And you start to worry. And it's a difficult situation.
So I think overall that concludes the Eagles portion of our mock draft. So as usual, we will go back after the draft and see how right or wrong we were. It's always a fun episode next week.
But
I need to I'm going to do it on the air too because I don't really care. I need to selfishly borrow your draft knowledge and answer a burning question for me. I am a huge Notre Dame fan. If you want to stop listening to the pod now, I understand. It's a love it or hate it kind of thing. However, it's a unique year where obviously Jeremiah Love is a first-round talent. He's probably a top 10 talent. I'm curious to hear your thoughts there. What I didn't see coming was Jadarian Price's name starting to slip into the late first round. I figured he was going to be a guaranteed second-round guy because he's a backup running back in college. So kind of demystify that for me. Where do you see from each guy? Are they two first round talents? A one and a two? Where do you land?
I mean, Jeremiah Love's right where he should be. I mean, he's on my big board. He's going to be my number one player just overall. It doesn't take account in a positional value because I'd probably have Arvell Reese over him and probably Mendoza as well because they'll get the positional bumps. But we might have to worry about him twice a year because I don't think he makes it past pick 5. I think the Arizona rumblings are a little weird to me. The Tennessee ones have made sense all along. Maybe it's Arizona trying to drum up interest.
Yeah.
But it could get interesting if it goes Mendoza and then they go David Bailey, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, and then, the Giants at 5 going to pick Love. Like, it could get interesting if maybe one of these teams want to trade up to 3 or 4 to jump New York for Jeremiah Love. Maybe it's the Commanders. They don't have a day 2 pick, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But maybe they could. But Jadarian Price, he's been gaining a ton of steam. And I watched him. I wasn't overly impressed. Like he didn't wow me like, Amarian Hampton had some wow moments on tape last year where he went in the first round.
Yeah.
But then I read Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. He is very clued into the business. And I saw Jadarian Price 32, and I started thinking, is there something I'm missing? And I think the something that is missing is a clear RB3 in this draft class. Because the gap from Love to Price is big, but the gap from Price to the next guy might be bigger. So,
yeah. And he brings. I mean, from watching him for the last 3 years, obviously, look, he's the backup to Jeremiah Love, but he's also the backup to probably one of the most talented running backs we've seen come out since, conservatively, you could say Gibbs. If you wanted to take a big swing, profile-wise, maybe Saquon. He's one of the best that we've seen coming out of. So backing him up is no slight. And he's got the same home run ability that Jeremiah Love has. Love's a generational runner, but here's what I'm saying.
He hurdles too much.
What's up?
He hurdles too much. He's got to stop hitting the Y button.
Yeah, but he was a hurdler in high school. I mean, he was he has that background. I do think Jadarian Price has that home run ability, though. He was our kick returner, and he returned at least multiple kicks for touchdowns every year I watched them. So, like you said, there's a big drop-off, and I think potential-wise, he never got to show what he could fully do at Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios, and I've heard the rumors of the Jaguars. They're going to try to lump up picks. They don't have that round one because the Travis Hunter deal last year. But I heard they're going to try to lump up picks and try to go up for Jadarian Price. And it's kind of got me intrigued how there's so much, movement around him. I think they could trade up to 32 and put him in the first round. I think that could be on the table. They'd have to deal some futures, but if they want him alongside Tootin, they could do that as well. But it's really interesting because
reload on their running back room. They're sitting at 32.
Yeah, but they have no picks. That's the problem. They have 32, 64, and like 2 other day 3 picks, or 1 in day 2 and 1 in day 3. They don't have a lot of picks, so they want to recoup some. So that works for Jacksonville. But it was kind of shocking that he ended in the first round for me, or not for me, but for a lot of these mock drafts. And you got to take them with some credit. And they're trying to get these guys in who they think are going to be first round guys. And, it goes from him to Mike Washington, and Mike Washington is, I believe, 25. He'll be 25 when he starts the season. You have Nick Singleton, who was that guy initially that was, highly touted, and then hit a couple of down years at Penn State, broke the foot in April. Katron Allen's a day 3 guy. So
They were
like,
in the same scenario, which is interesting, and I think that's what like opened my eyes. Obviously, look, the injury is the difference. Aaron Price was always healthy, but I mean, because you have an alpha and Jeremiah Love overshadowing Jadarian Price, and the same thing in Penn State with Keytron Allen, kind of overshadowing his running mate. So those were the two guys I kind of kept an eye on. And then when I saw Jadarian Price kind of really skyrocketing up to the first round, I really did think he might have been a late second round, possibly even an early third round pick when the season ended. That's kind of what raised my eyebrows about it. And it was like, well, what changed? How? I mean, I love him. I know he's crazy talented. He's going to be a good pro, but what changed?
yeah, I guess the running back class, because nothing changed for me. I was like, okay, this guy looks like, one of those typical day two running backs.
Yeah.
All the way throughout the process. I agree with you. Late two, early three. It's probably around where I'd be okay taking him, especially in this class that, kind of doesn't, it's all grouped into one bunch. There's a couple guys at the top end, and then it's everyone else, and then it's like the day three drop off. So I'm right with you, but I really don't know what changed. Was it the workouts? Like I don't see it. That's the thing. That's why I'm in agreement with you. I don't know what changed, because it's not like he magically went back and put something on tape. Like his numbers came in as expected. Like everything kind of with the process the way it should, and he's getting late first buzz. I don't quite understand it, but we'll see come Thursday night, because it's going to be very interesting. But as for Jeremiah Love, yeah, he's going right where he should be. He's elite. I'd probably have it in order from in terms of prospects. It'd probably be Bijan at 1, Jeremiah Love at 2, Genty at 3, and then Gibbs at 4. That'd probably be where I'd put those guys if I was grading them all as prospects coming out of the league or coming out of college.
Yeah. The more I'm reading about it, it is just people have them so much higher than I expected. Again, as a fan, I'm happy, but it's just, I mean, Kuiper has him as 27th on his big board. Who the hell else was I just reading? Daniel Jeremiah has him at 32. Like,
I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see it when I watch him. He's good.
Yeah,
he's good, but I just don't see where you slot him in, and he doesn't feel like a prototypical like day one back. Like Omarion Hampton was the bell cow at UNC. These late first guys have an incredible college resume. Travis Etienne a couple of years back had a fantastic college resume, but then you got guys who were better in college coming out. Maybe they were better overall draft classes, but you have guys like Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor was just missed slot. That was the easiest home run pick of all time.
Yeah.
But you have guys like that who go round 2 that had way better prospect profiles than Jadarian Price, and now Jadarian Price getting the round 1 buzz, which just shows you how this class is.
And you're probably right. It probably is just a thin class.
Well, it's thinner at running back because RB3 is either 25 or just coming off a broken foot.
Yeah.
Unless there's someone that I'm missing who I'm thinking about, but I don't think I'm missing anyone in this running back class besides those 2 guys. I mean, Jonah Coleman, yeah, I'm missing him as well. He wasn't going to test well. Like, he'll be a downhill runner, but it's like, what are you looking for? You're looking for that explosive guy, and it's Jadarian Price. Like,
yeah, once you get past Jeremiah Love, the next home run hitter is Jadarian Price, and you're just taking a chance on the fact that his numbers show that he didn't get a chance to do that at Notre Dame, but it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, he's a late day 2 guy. I feel like if he goes day 1, you're going to want to log on to Twitter immediately and see some reactions, because people aren't going to believe it, but I think he has a true chance to go round 1. He's not a bad player. I'm not saying he's bad. He's good.
No, but he's a round 1 running back. Is even the way I look at it, round 1 running back comes into your team and fundamentally changes your offense. And I love Jadarian Price. I think he might fit into an offense, but I don't think
he fits in Seattle. Like, he fits perfectly in Seattle.
He fits great in Seattle. Especially after losing Kenneth Walker. But again, you're right. They have so.
And Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL, and that was a late ACL tear. That was really late.
Yeah. So they're real thin to start the year.
It's Emmanuel Wilson, I believe, as the starter right now. So
So maybe it is a need, and they do burn a pick on a day one back. I'd be surprised too, but maybe. But we will see. The Eagles aren't going to do it. They shouldn't. But we have already laid out what we think they should do. We'll see how much of that comes true this time next week. Well, actually, Thursday next week. We'll be back on our regular schedule. But until such a time, I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. This is a Passing Report. Hey, go Flyers.